Hey. How you doing? I asked y'all for hot takes, and y'all responded. A lot of people actually responded, and some of them are very lengthy. um, so yeah, I'm just gonna go react to them and read them. This is all unscripted, just letting you know. Nothing important in terms of like gameplay, so if you want, you can just put this up as a background audio. I don't know, go back to doing your chores or just doing art. And yeah, you read the title, let's just move on with it and read some hot takes. Tanks are some of the worst characters without a proper team, and ranged characters are kind of broken. Bio also needs a nerf. Probably not, I just hate Bio and dealing with him. With the tanks part being some of the worst characters without proper team support, I don't think that's a hot take. Matter of fact, I think it's a pretty cold take. I feel like a lot of people agree tanks are generally very weak without a proper team. And yeah, you can say it with a bunch of fighters, but tanks are especially hit with it due to them drawing the most aggro. Obviously, you know, they're the big bad enemy in the front. Oh no, we gotta deal with them. So it makes sense that they falter and they fall. I don't think that's how you say it. I don't think that's the right word, but it makes sense why they're kind of bad without team support, because, well, they're by themselves. And since enemies are gonna shoot them, or melee them or whatever, more often than not, they're gonna fall apart. They're gonna die into a million pieces. Ranges being very strong, that's not a hot take. I think a lot of people agree that they're very, very strong, and they make so many maps and fighting so range-sided, it's actually insane. I have no idea if it's a map design issue. I don't know if it's a character design issue because I'm not a developer. I don't think it's fair for me to like say a lot, but holy crap. Space Knights with a Hyperlaser, I genuinely don't want to play the game. It is so range-sided in certain maps, and I don't know. I think they're figuring out ways to like stop range from being super duper strong, because I mean, Protect Telemon's a pretty clear example of it. They added walls and stuff, but it's still strong. It's still a strong map for ranges, but you know what I mean. As for Bio needing a nerf, he was overtuned. They nerfed him, thank goodness. I don't think he needs any more nerfs. I think he's fine. I don't know what the general what the general community thinks about him. Because in my opinion, right, Bio isn't that difficult to deal with. You just need to stick with your frontliner, or you just need to have a CC ability like a stun or a hinder like Vine Staff's Q to deal with him and get him away. But that's just me. Personally, I think if you're trying to dive, I think right now Skate is way better for diving people and just killing them. So I mean, that's just me, right? Like, it's just an open perspective. That's from someone who only plays opens. So, yeah. I think Skate is just better Biograft right now, because just look at the damage combo. He just deals so much damage with his combo. But Biograft is strong. I love Biograft. I'll always main him. He's always been my favorite fighter. But yeah, I think Skateboard is just better in general. I think Bio is fine. I don't think he needs any tunings with nerf or buff. I think he's fine right now. But it has been a while since I played fighting, so meh. Biograft is actually pretty easy to counter. It's just opens are notorious for having horrible communication 99% of the time. Biograft is very counterable, at least from my opinion. Is he easy to counter though? I don't actually know, because yeah, there's some just good Biografts out there that are so hard to kill, and then there's other times where you'll like meet up with an average Biograft and a simple CC ability, or like a slowdown, or you know, like or a hinder, is gonna be more than enough to simply stop them in their tracks and either force them to retreat or run away. Because like forcing a Biograft to retreat is like still good. It's better than just letting them stay in the back line or front line or wherever they are and just demolish people. And Simple, just communication, knowing where he is, focus firing on him is also a very, very easy way to force him to retreat and run away. But yeah, open servers being notorious for having horrible communication is definitely a part as to why Biograft is much harder to play in opens. Like I said before multiple times, right? I'm going to continue saying this in this video. This is from a perspective of someone who's only ever played opens. Yeah, it is bad. And it does sometimes feel like it is impossible to counter a Biograft, but again, focus fire, you know, just forcing him to retreat is more than enough sometimes, just to make him not demolish the backline or front line, you know? And that's just ignoring the amount of self-sustained fighters have, or the amount of ways fighters can escape from a Biograft. You know, Vinesef has her Q to slow him down, E to slow him down again. Hyper has, you know, his nades, his slide. So it's not that, you know, Biograft can't be countered. If he can be countered, it's just the counters that can counter him are the most like reliable counter. Communication. It just doesn't exist in opens. It just doesn't exist at all. I don't really know what else to say about Biograft and its counters, so yeah, I guess that's it for now. Every fighter is relatively balanced and none of them need a nerf. However, I believe that Shuriken and Vine definitely needs buffs because they're low-key bad and heavily outclassing their rogues. Oh yeah, and support players need to switch off support more in opens. If you keep dying to dive fighters too often, or if there are too many people playing support on your team, then it's your job to realize that and switch fighters instead of playing support. Both of these takes, they're not really hot. I think they're all very like cold takes. Every fighter is relatively balanced and none of them need a nerf. I do agree with that. Although I will say I think some stat tweaks between some fighters here and there wouldn't hurt. And Shuriken and Vine needing buffs, I don't think that's a hot take at all. In my opinion, they've needed buffs for a while. And opens, they're fine, I think. I don't really have issues with them with opens because I think that they're played how they are. But from what I've seen and like how I would think scrims would be and how like pros would be, yeah, they probably are held class. I definitely think Shuriken's the worst dive character right now, and Vine is just outclassed by Medkit. I just think Medkit's burst heal is way more valuable than Vinesef's AoE heal, and yeah, that's it really. As for the support players needing to swap off supports and opens, yeah, it's not really a hot take. If there's too many supports, you gotta realize it's just a bad idea to play supports only in fighting. And if you're getting dived on, one, it wouldn't hurt to swap, yeah, but you could also try to stick with your frontliner, and if you're still dying, it's not gonna kill you to simply swap fighters. You know, someone that will help the team still, you know. But maybe make it so you're not as likely to die to a dive, because as a support you are going to get dived, and dived a lot, so expect that and just stick with your team really. But again, if you keep dying, even if you're sticking with your team, yeah, just it's better off to swap. Biocarved is a better skin than Betagraph and Floaty combined. Not really a hot take, but I do agree. It's not a hot take because it's more so subjective than anything else, not objective. It's just up to personal opinion. I think it's a better skin than Betagraph and Floatygraph, but I can never betray my main Cocograph. I love Cocograph. Skateboard is not hard to learn. I swear to gosh, this pissed me off. I disagree. Personally, I think Skateboard is pretty hard to learn, and it's literally only because of tricks. If tricks didn't exist, I think Skateboard would still be pretty hard, but I wouldn't say he's the hardest, because you need to basically learn most maps, like most map trick spots, in order to get used to Skateboard. And the fact that you need to get used to all the maps to get good at a fighter, I think is what makes it pretty difficult. Not only that, his combos and stuff, I wouldn't say they're hard, but you are going to get used to them. It took me a while to get used to off-board Q combo, if that makes sense. Like you press Q and then you get off-board, so you land exactly where you want to go. So yeah, I disagree, but hey, it's just your opinion. I believe that Katana is out in a very, very weird state when it comes to being the second tank in fighting. I feel as if the kit change wasn't necessary compared to what people say. I get it, he was brain dead, but I feel as if a lot of complaints came from beginning players who didn't know how to counter tanks. Not only that, he just doesn't have the same tankiness as he did before. Even before the rework, compared to Ban, I'd argue that he didn't need to work as much as Ban to gain shield. Right now, he's put in a place where he isn't as durable as he used to be. I tried and tried again to go against Ban one-on-one and feel as if Katana can only have a fair chance if he dodges pretty much every attack or heavily relied on his supports. Back then, Ban and Katana could do a fair 1v1 and it could be either or who wins. I just don't believe his kit needed to change, it did, and I played not just Katana but also supports like Medkit and Subspace back even before his kit change. I feel like he's made it to be a bigger problem than what his kit really was, and that he isn't really as much as a tank with so much mobility and not being able to at least self-sustain on his own. Also, it's pretty obvious, but fighting has a really odd balancing system. I understand that opens are for everyone, and I'm not one of those people who are against pros being in opens. My main concern is the fact opens is way too broad in terms of players who can play together. I feel as if it should be sorted into levels than just pure randomness. It caused a lot of casual players to end up quitting because rounds are too determined if there was a sweat, and a lot of pro players lose interest or just farm opens because they're never put with people of similar level. I don't think it's really a hot take. I think everyone, or at least most people, agree Katana is not a true tank anymore. It's weird to call him a tank, but he still has arguably the second most self-sustaining kit in the game. If we're talking about, you know, purely self-sustain in terms of just regaining HP, I think if we're talking about mobility and stuff, Coil is better. Like, Coil is, I think, actually the true tank, yes. But with that aside, yeah, he's still arguably the second most self-sustaining character in the game, at least in the melee roster, with Banhammer only beating him, but come on, it's Banhammer. Banhammer actually is way better in terms of like being a traditional tank, at least from what I feel like. But I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing. He's not a true tank anymore. I think Katana new rework is way better. He's way more fun. He has more mobility, he has more options to engage, and his ultimate is no longer so annoying in Conquer. It's now annoying in both game modes. What I like most about his new kit is the fact that he actually has mobility now with his half charge M2. Because before, his only real mobility option, like his mobility tech, I guess, I don't know what you call it, is just air stalling, which is boring. But yeah. Do I think his old kit needed to change? Yeah. At least for me, I felt his old kit was a bit outdated. I don't know why. It felt just a bit outdated, mainly because of his old movement, if that makes sense. It just felt a bit clunky to use. Not to say it was bad. If they kept old Katana, I wouldn't have like gotten angry. I personally think old Katana was fine as well. It's just after toying around with the new Katana, I much prefer the new one over the old one. Especially since the movement now actually feels a lot smoother. So yeah, fighting having a really bad open matchmaking is pretty common knowledge. Everyone knows that. And yeah, it really does just feel like who has this player in the team. If your team has the player as like the better player, all of a sudden the match becomes a lot easier than if they were in the other team, which feels like it's an impossible task. Not impossible, but it feels like it's a massive steep to even earn that victory. Being sorted into levels instead of just pure randomness is interesting, at least to me, because I'm one of the people that thinks levels don't really mean skill. It just means how much time you put into a game, which obviously means that you most likely are better than the average player. But like once you reach to, let's say, I don't know, level 100, how much better are you than the average, you know, level 100? Like, are you way better? Are you way worse? Or, you know, that's just my opinion, right? I like that, but at the same time, I kind of like the randomness of open servers. Because it's just that, it's open servers, you know? Maybe adding a different queue, like random opens and then just leveled opens. I think opens now has become a lot, you know, like the average opens player has become a lot better in the last few months, and I think that's a good thing. It's normal for that to happen, but I would say it is definitely, I think it would be a massive jump from beginner servers to like open servers because of like how good the average player has become. I think one way to lessen the broadness of open servers is to add some sort of incentive to pro servers. An idea I had is like to just add like a exclusive skin, but I don't know how everyone would feel about that. I don't know if the devs even want to put that much time to just give exclusive skins, because I'm not a developer. But that's just my idea. It's just adding incentive to pro servers might make them more active, and that would probably lessen the broadness, like the amount of players of varying skill in opens. I forgot to mention this part, but at the end of this paragraph he says, it's also very hard for pro players to be able to play because oftentimes players get aggressive or rude towards them, even though they're just trying to have fun. I have seen online on like Roblox chat and Twitter, and it just sucks. I don't know what else to really say about that. It just sucks. I know I'm like preaching to the choir here, but like, you know, if you're being rude or aggressive to a pro player that simply just wants to play the game, I think it says a lot more about you than, you know, like, and your character. Because at the end of the day, yeah, pro players just want to play the game. And I think it's better that you simply improve on yourself and mechanics like aiming, rather than putting out that anger towards, you know, the person who beat you. Because, you know, at the end of the day, it is just a Roblox game. Hyperlaser needs damage fall off. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Hyperlaser dealing 80 damage at any range is kind of busted, and I think toning it down to adding fall off is going to be extremely helpful, especially to slower characters like Vinestaff and Banhammer. I don't know the exact like fall off range and damage would be, simply because the maps in fighting tend to vary in size. I mean, like, look at King of the Hill, Space Knights, and then look at something like Bread Factory. You know, they all have such varying map sizes, and it's not like I'm upset with Hyperlaser dealing 80 damage, because if they have a good shot, they have a good shot. I don't know what you want me to say about that. But it's not like Hyper can't handle close range engagements. He has two abilities that can allow him to escape. So again, it's not like he can't handle close range engagements. I think adding fall off would, you know, help him feel less oppressive. That's it. I don't know how else to really reword this. Hyperlaser just sometimes feel oppressive at certain maps because of the amount of range he has, and I think toning down his range could help him feel less oppressive. Most Annihilate maps would play better on Conquer, specifically maps like Nuke the Whale, where fights already take place in the middle where Conquer Point would be. And I think we need more escort maps. Even if the game mode feels bad to play, I would like playing the game mode way more if there are more maps that are visually interesting. Annihilate tends to have pretty mid maps. Like, does anyone else remember shooting T-Bot Observatory when it was like Annihilate only? I think it was Annihilate only at one point. It sucked. I didn't like that map. It was way too open, and I feel like that happens a lot with Annihilate maps. Either they're way too open and way too big, or they're way too small and it feels way too enclosed. And it just, I don't know, it feels kind of clunky, feels weird to play in certain maps like Roblox HQ. And I think the map design is what makes Annihilate just not that fun for me. Because I think Annihilate as a game mode is fine, it's just the maps on Annihilate is just mid. They're always mid, and the commenter is right when they say that a lot of the times it just feels way better to play these maps on Conquer. And the only Annihilate maps I even truly enjoy is Crater Dust Capital and Dodgeball. Dodgeball simply because, I don't know, I just like it. I don't really know why I like it, I just like it. And Crater Dust because it's just visually interesting. If they're gonna add more escort maps to the game, which I agree with, because you know, more content's more content, but yeah. Yeah, they should change something with escort as a game mode first, I think. Or at least I think that's what they're gonna do first before they add more stuff to it. Because right now, escort just feels like unfinished, like unpolished. And it's like, I know fighting's an alpha, obviously, so obviously there's gonna be stuff that does feel unfinished or unpolished. It's just, I don't know, I think it'd be cool to have another tug of war variant game mode into the game. It's just, I feel like escort just doesn't work, or it just doesn't feel fun, if that makes sense. And I don't know if it's the game mode itself or if it's the maps, because we only have 2 escort maps right now, if I remember correctly. And right now, those maps are Raven's Rock and Roblox City. And from my experience, right, Roblox City is a pretty good map. Like, I have fun with it. I like playing that. But then we go into Raven's Rock, and that's when I just don't want to play ever. So it's like they're probably gonna need to change something with escort, but I don't know, maybe it's just the map design. Maybe that's why. I couldn't tell you, but yeah, I agree with you. Because more content's more content, and more escort maps probably means escort's gonna be played more, and we're probably gonna see more flaws in it.
Katana's grapple ability needs to be changed. I don't mind the concept of it, but it's just way too disorientating for the grapple target and can even be harmful to the Katana's own team. I have lost kills due to Katana grappling away someone I was targeting, then not being able to find them, followed by the Katana not being able to finish them off. I have lost matches due to a Katana on my team snatching my targets. I can vividly remember playing Shuriken during overtime, and the enemy medkit was ulting. Right as I was about to kill him, my team's Katana grappled the medkit away from me, and the medkit survived, so his ult was able to finish. Literally because my team's Katana decided it was a good idea to snatch away the medkit while I was in the process of surgically removing his spinal cord.
Katana's grapple ability is very, very disorienting, especially if you're in the receiving end of it. But for me personally, I never really found it like that big of a deal, at least from my experience, right? And I usually main Biograft, and it definitely like hinders more fighters than others, like Medkit or Hyperlaser, for example, right? But at the same time, I could see it being such an annoying ability in like more communicative teams where you have full comms with each other, because it's basically a free kill. No matter what, it's almost always guaranteed a free kill unless they use a movement ability to escape. And I could see it being a good change. I think it'd be a net positive change if they change it, but at the same time, for me at least, I don't really find it that big of a deal for when I get pulled and stuff. But I could, again, it's just me, right? I could see it being I could see it being a net positive if they remove it and replace it with another ability. With Katana's grapple ability sometimes being a detriment to the team, I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure that's just open servers being bad at communication. And just poor timing. And I'm gonna admit it, I have thrown games with it. I've also seen many losses from the Katana grappling, but hey, again, it's just open servers just being very, very horrendous with communication, so what can you do about it?
Another hot take? Coil and Skateboard are awful to deal with. Sure, When the person using them isn't actually that good, they're bearable to go up against. But when used by a competent player, I have had to step back from my computer from the sheer frustration I feel when I have to go against a good skateboard or coil main. Skateboard is impossible to hit and will constantly bully you if you're a support or ranged, and in opens, you can't easily rely on your teammates to be there to help you. Coil has way too much survivability, mobility, and ability spamming. Even if you're both at the same skill level, most of the time an enemy coil can outlive and outmaneuver most of the other fighters, and you can't even do anything about it because as soon as the coil starts losing, he's just going to run away, heal, and be back to stomping you 10 seconds later.
I don't think this is a hot take at all. I'm pretty sure this is a very, very, like, cold take because, yeah, playing against a coil and skate, it can be very, very, very frustrating at times. Because coil has a small-ass hitbox and has a lot of ability spam, giving him lots of movement. And skateboard, I almost called him skate shot for a second. Skateboard has insane movement and high burst damage once he's outside of skateboard. So, yeah, it does genuinely feel frustrating to go up against, especially if they're a competent player. And tuning them down, specifically skateboard, because I think it's fine coil, right? Because in my opinion, I don't really think coil even has that much damage compared to the other melee fighters. I mean, that's the best I could compare it to, just like a melee fighter. But I don't really think he has that much damage. The strongest part of coil to me is the fact that he can support and pocket, as well as providing as like he's like a secondary support, if that makes sense. If medkit's your main support, then he's your secondary. Since he provides pretty decent damage with good mobility. And skateboard, I think having him toned down would definitely be helpful because right now skateboard is very frustrating to go up against. He's always been a frustrating fighter to go up against. That's just the nature of his kit. But right now, especially, he's very much more frustrating than earlier. He is arguably like the best dive character right now, so toning him down would be very, very nice. But due to the nature of their kit and their playstyle, it's almost always going to be guaranteed that they are very frustrating to go up against. But yeah.
Another thing I find kind of problematic is Biograft's Echo Execution. It's basically a long-range, almost free and its costly using version of Banhammer's Punisher with teleportation. So even if you're just barely actually out execution range on the initial hit, the Biograft can just zoom to you and slap you to death before you can even do anything about it. I don't know, I just think it's kind of unfair for Biograft to have a literal execution move with teleportation as a regular ability, when the two other execution moves in the game are Punishers, belonging to characters who aren't already zooming across the map, soloing the enemy team's backline.
This opinion, ooh boy, this opinion. The Biograft main in me starting to boil just for the fact that people think Biograft is unfun to fight against. Okay, no, but for real though. Let me just defend Biograft real quick because I am biased. I think it fits well with this kit as like a kill confirm ability essentially, and it rewards him for killing people with it because of the extra finisher points. My issue with it, however, is the fact that it has infinite range. If I remember correctly, in the wiki, it literally states it has infinite, like 999 studs range, which I don't know. I don't think it should have infinite range. I think it should be limited and toned down, because Biograft is already pretty damn oppressive up close. I don't think he should have a way for you to snipe people from afar. Right. I also would like to say as well, Echo Execution does scale off of max HP specifically. I'm pretty sure it's max HP. And it doesn't take into account shields. If you specifically have, I'm pretty sure it's either 10 or 20, one of them, right? 10 or 20 shields, it doesn't proc. I don't know why, it just kind of doesn't. And since it scales with max HP, it does affect other fighters more. Specifically fighters like Medkit and Subspace, where their HP is pretty damn high and they have no shields. So it's like, if I remember correctly, like 68 HP range for you to gain the get the kill and get the free finisher points, which is pretty damn strong.
Skateboard's old redesign concept is better than his current one. His old redesign made him look energetic, and I really liked the racer motif he had. Well, the new one has him wearing heavy clothing and a backpack that's also unzipped, while skateboarding and doing insanely difficult tricks. I guess it shows how skilled he is, but meh.
Not really a hot take or a cold take. It's a very subjective take, you know. I know a lot of these takes are subjective, that's the nature of hot takes, but that's a very subjective take. Like, some people view it as such, but you know. Personally speaking, I prefer the new one, but I could see why people like the old one better, as from what I read on the dialogue. It definitely seemed like the old one fitted his energy, tone, voice. I don't know how to really describe it, but it fitted better. But personally speaking, I like the new redesign. It's way more detailed. I like the face he makes, and from what I've heard, they redesigned him. One, so it doesn't feel outdated, and two, it's to fit his character more with the lore that's coming to fighting. So the coming lore that's coming to fighting. So I never read the lore of fighting. I don't really care about it, but hey, I think it'd be cool if they add legacy skins for old redesign, for like the old models and stuff. I think it'd be really cool to have, but I don't know if they even have the old models still. I don't know if they just threw it somewhere hidden and never be found again, but I think adding legacy skins would be a good replacement instead of just outright replacing them, so yeah.
They should have kept Boombox's shield, and the Boombox gives shield to others instead of haste. I want to protect my teammates. And Coil should have been a melee.
I very much agree with this. I miss the old Boombox so much. I miss when Boombox gives shield so much, and I understand why they wanted Boombox to be, you know, the fast character, because I think speed definitely represents his gear a lot more, like a lot better than, you know, shield. And I know his old kit was 100% based off of Lucio just for his ultimate alone, but personally speaking, I just prefer the old kit. I like protecting my teammates, I like giving shield to others, I like being a shield generator, and his new kit is fun. It complements his fast playstyle, it complements, you know, sticking with teammates with giving them bonus finisher points, and giving speeding up their finishers. So he does fit the fast character more, but I don't know. I just miss the old one so much. I'm really hoping they're gonna add a new support character, and they are like a shield generator. You know, I don't know how broken it would be, but yeah. Coil should have been a melee. I don't know if people still like argue against whether or not he's a melee or support or whatever, but to me, with the way he was designed and with like the gear itself, like usually being more centered towards support than direct combat, that makes sense, right? I think it fits that he was a support, but he could have been a melee fighter with the way he was designed. He has such insane mobility, and if they just gave him a bit more damage, removed the tether ability, and replaced it with something else, he could have been a melee, and I could very much see it. So, yeah. Alright, and with that, I think I'll end the video here. I did not mean for this video to take a whole 3 weeks, maybe 4, depending on when this uploads, but yeah, I did not mean for it to take that long. I just didn't want to upload for a while, and I also just didn't want to do anything with fighting because, you know, I was getting a little bit bored of it, and I don't feel like I want to be burnt out of the game, you know. Maybe I'll make another hot takes video, maybe, don't count on it. You can comment your opinions and other hot takes. I like to read them, maybe I'll respond to them, just, you know, be be respectful is all I'm asking, because you know I'm just a 16-year-old on the internet who doesn't know what he's talking about. For all the 9 Limbus Company fans who watches my channel, hey, expect a Kanto 9 video soon. It's probably gonna be really bad, but you know, if you want it, it's coming, maybe. With that, I think I'll actually end the video here now. So yeah, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.